Kirk Zotter here with Auction Excellence, and we have three core pillars: team insights, process optimization, and cutting edge technology. Today we'll be taking a deeper look into team insights and looking at how to unlock your team's potential through a very powerful change model. Have you ever started a project only to see it stall? You set urgency and then it faded, and you just get into the week over the week grind. You used to have a vision, but everybody forgot it. After they went off to their executive meeting, they came back and it's like, what was the vision that we had? A lot of times that is driven through 5 core things: an absence of trust within the team, from the people that are doing the work to the leadership team or between the leadership team to think about and look at; a fear of conflict. The people don't want to bring things forward because they're afraid of what the consequence of what's going to happen. A lack of commitment, so not willing to go all in, not willing to go all the way. Avoidance of accountability, of not wanting accountability for the processes or the things that we're doing. And lastly is inattention to results. So we're not even looking at the outcome or measuring things within the process. And a lot of times that's the reason, as we get going, our projects tend to stall. Well, driving process change in large-scale operations is very difficult without a strong foundation in change management. And I've seen this over my last 20 years going into auto auctions all across the United States of America, implementing small basic process changes to a complete overhaul of the operations, or maybe even bringing in a new account and trying to adjust it within the flow. But the goal of any organization is to get better than it was yesterday. The definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, the goal is to create a continuous improvement work culture. Who doesn't want to get 1% better than they were yesterday in every element of what you're doing as you show up? The leader of change management over the years is by the name of John P. Kotter. He taught at Harvard Business School in the 1990s. And he researched hundreds of organizations. And what he found is that 70% of organizations fail at change. Why? Because they didn't have a process to go through to understand what step are they at within the change model, to understand how do they get where they need to be going and drive change across the organization. What I want to bring you today is that change model and talk to you about each step of the process. Step 1 in the change model is to diagnose a need for change and create urgency. So what is holding you back? What is the process constraint? What metric are we focusing on? Many times we want to drive change, but people are good with the status quo. We have to create the urgency. Why do we need to change? And people need to understand that why before they get into what we're doing. So manufacturing, or sometimes creating that urgency, and sometimes that urgency is developed. It just comes to us. There's a new account coming, and if we can't get things set up quite right, well, they may pull out, right? We've got to create the change within what we're doing, or we're going to fail. So at every level of the organization, we've got to understand the why, and we've got to generate the urgency. Step number 2 is we need to enlist our champions, or guiding coalition of champions we pull together. Successful change happens when strong guiding coalitions rally around a shared vision. So once we have that vision, pull the champions, create the urgency, and start moving forward. Every organization has champions, has helpers, has bystanders, and has resistors. It's important to identify what bucket every single person falls into. And our goal is, how do we get the helpers to move into champions, or the bystanders become helpers? And many times the resistors, once you get this going, are willing to all of a sudden take that step. I've seen many times in organizations where there's employees, they're like, those are our worst employees, they're not gonna make it, based on what's going on. But once you start putting initiatives in play, they become your top performing players. Don't give up on the resistors, but don't focus all your effort on them right away. Let them rise with it, and identify the champions, the people that are going to push the process forward. The third key step is that we need to envision a better future and have clear initiatives. So create a bold, inspiring vision statement that asks, if we were performing at our very best, what would it look like, right? Where are we going? What is the 5-year plan that's going to take this organization completely off the top? To do that, we can't just focus on the 5-year and have these initiatives that are going to take 5 years to take in place, because then everyone's going to lose motivation. It's important with motivation that there's quick wins and feedback loops that occur within what we're doing. So it's important to envision that 5-year, but break it back down into the next 2 years. And what do we want to accomplish in the year? What do we want to accomplish in the quarter? What do we want to accomplish in the month? What do we want to accomplish this week? What do we want to accomplish today? And is that action that we're taking today in line directionally to that 5-year plan, to that vision of where we're going, or is it not? And once we do that, we can start lining up our dominoes, lining up our initiatives that align to where we are going. The fourth key step is that we want to motivate and enlist a volunteer army. So now you've got your champions that are out there. Get those champions to start working the crowd, working the other team members, working the helpers, working the bystanders to say, hey, we got a great thing going on. You want to be a part of it? So create a sense of hope, a better future within your organization, and it needs to act now. What are consequences for not acting today? Utilize the underdog mentality. Right? If you think you're the biggest, you think you're the best, well, then there's nowhere to go. But if you are the underdog, there's only a mountain to climb, right? And that's what we got to go after. And we got to get everybody that's inspired and it's exciting. They're on a journey. Everyone's on this journey together to where they're going. And that's where you get that volunteer army. He gets passionate and starts working together. The fifth key step is that we want to communicate and reinforce that vision by removing barriers. So many times an executive team will get together, they'll write up a vision statement, put it on a wall, or they'll send out a memo and they'll talk about it, and then like a week later, everybody forgot it. You go ask a frontline employee, what's the vision of the organization? Nobody has any idea what it is. It is imperative that you communicate and reinforce that vision in everything that you're doing. If it's that important, that's where we're taking this organization, and that's where we're going, and we're aligning everything that we're doing towards it. It needs to be on every wall. It needs to be on every email. It needs to be in every meeting that you have. You're stating the vision of what you're doing, right? And you want to tell a story, highlight early wins that connect to this vision, create constant feedback loops that tie to your vision. Winning is developed from a two-way street, bottom up and top down. So it's not just the executive team driving that vision down, but it's the people in the field that believe it and own it. It's kind of like the story of, when JFK went, to tour the rocket ship place, and the guy was mopping the floor, and he asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm putting a man on the moon." His job, he understood that mopping the floor was a critical step to getting a man to be put on the moon. So that's how your vision connects. Another thing in removing barriers, which is very important, is that every team member that you've got, I always imagine them that they're in a room, right? And they're sitting in a room, and around the room is a bunch of doors, right? And for us to get that initiative, to get that action, to hit that vision, we've got to get that employee to go through door A. But they don't go through door A, they go through door B, and they go through door C and D and E and F. And it's really frustrating. It's like, why can't they just go through door A? Well, a lot of times there's a really good reason why they're not going through door A. And so we need to understand what's happening from their perspective, what's going on, what is door B, right? And what we need to help them with is remove the barriers of why they're going through door B and close door B, close door C, close door D. All the different doors that are around them, and the only door to go through, because we removed all the barriers to make that employee successful, to hit the initiatives, to hit the projects, to hit the things that we're going for, and to hit the vision of where we're going, is to go through that door A. And once we can align that, and we can help our team members remove those barriers, and we're communicating the vision, and they understand why they're doing it, and they have the urgency and the motivation to go through door A, then everybody starts channeling themselves very strategically through that door. The next key step is that we can talk about it all we want, but at some point we've got to put things into action. So we have to act, implement, adapt. We got to iterate on what we're doing, and we've got to sustain this acceleration. The vision without action is just a dream. Take small strategic actions. Every failure equals learnings, and we need to move fast and pivot. So many times within organizations, within a culture, people are afraid to fail, and they're afraid to talk about their failures. What we want to do is highlight every failure that occurs, because it's the failures that we can learn from, that we can get better from. So if there's 50 things that we fail, well, let's categorize those 50 things. And the Pareto principle tells us that 80% of your defects come from 20% of your defect types. Find those 2 defect types, understand them, attack it, knock it away. That's how you drive improvement. And when people come to you and say, hey, right, we failed, celebrate that. Don't get upset about it. You just found nuggets of gold that we can use to improve the process and what we're doing. And that's what builds momentum in everything that we're doing. The last core step is that we've got to consolidate. We've got to make change sustainable by instituting this change model. Once you unlock the improvement, lock them down with standardizations and develop written standard operating procedures. You got to measure the progress. So this is the baseline of where we're at, and we're going to set the standard. So if this is our standard, you've got a standard in your life, your operations has got a standard. Well, how do we drive that 1% improvement? What is the measurement of success to get us from here to get us to here? And what's the gap in between? Well, the gap are the failures, the things the defects in the process that we can push it 1% better, a little bit more over and over again. And by doing that, that's going to reinforce a culture of change, and you're going to build a continuous improvement work culture, which becomes addicting. People want to be a part of that. They want to get better. They want to see their team members get better. They want to see the progress. They want to be a part of a team that wins. Create a culture of winning, and how you create that is through continuous improvement that you're pushing every single day. So these steps, review them quickly here. Diagnose a need for change, set urgency, enlist your champions. Focus on your champions and create a guiding coalition to clearly understand that urgency, why we need to change. Create a vision for a better future. Understand where you're going and break it down into every single micro action that you're taking today through initiatives that you're going to build that align with the team. You got to then motivate the team, and you can't just stay with your champions. Get your champions to start enlisting people throughout the entire organization around this vision and this urgency that you're setting. Communicate and reinforce this vision by removing barriers. If someone's going through that door B, close the door. Get them to go through door A, and get them excited about wanting to go through that door A. And constantly, in every little thing that you do, when that success happens, when we go through the door A and we hit the metrics and we do the stuff, we find the failure of what we're doing, connect it back to your vision of what you're doing. And once we're doing it, constantly act, implement, adapt, iterate. It's a constant learning process that we're going, and that's what sustains acceleration. If we get a win today and then we don't get a win for 6 months, everyone's forgot like what we did a day ago. Like, we need to every single day start connecting what we're doing against that vision. And then as we consolidate, use like lean principles in the way of pulling it all together to sustain and institute change by building SOPs, measuring progress in what you're doing. So this is a very powerful model, and if you go through each of these steps and you kind of have a checklist to understand how are we doing with our urgency of what we're doing. Is everybody as urgent as we need to be? Do we have a list of champions? Who are our champions? Who would our champions be? Right? Do we have a vision statement? Like, where are we going in 5 years? What do we want to become? Each of these items are a checklist. Grade yourself on it and think about yourself and start working through it to build a better future. So this is a very powerful model that we use at Auction Excellence. We look forward to partnering with you and building this model into the core of your operations and helping you at your site build a continuous improvement work culture and redefine what is possible with your team. Thank you.